All right. Hello, everybody. So I want to do just a quick video lecture here. It's not really a lecture, but an explanation of ChatGPT, DeepSeek, whatever AI platforms are out there, Gemini. I know there are quite a few, and it seems like there are more every day. So what I want to talk about is kind of my perspective on ChatGPT. So I've seen an increase in students using it, and I've changed this quarter because I've seen that increase. Now, excuse me. Now, just ChatGPT in general, according to a survey, about 90% of students are using some form of AI. This one was specifically ChatGPT. So 90% on homework, about 50% on essays, and some on at-home tests. So I'll assume that quizzes, discussion boards also fall into that category. Now, according to Forbes, most college students, 57%, said they didn't intend to use or continue using AI to complete assignments or exams. However, 32% said they used it or would continue to use it in the future, and 11% preferred not to answer. Now, I think that the numbers are probably a little bit higher than that, and that's not to say that there's any judgment about using ChatGPT. I just think we need to be very careful about when, where, and why we use it. Yes, I know it's going to be part of our lives in the future. Yes, I know it's everywhere around us. And I've read books on AI and teaching and articles and peer-reviewed reports. So a lot of this is definitely from an informed space. It's not a knee-jerk reaction. But I want to explain where I'm coming from because it's going to be incorporated into the course. That is not AI, but how we approach AI. So how are students using it? Brainstorming ideas, creating outlines, writing drafts, summarizing information. So, hey, here's an article. Tell me what the important parts of it are. Revising, writing, creating responses to discussion posts. I've seen it. To me, it's relatively obvious. I'm not going to explain how I can tell or what the red flags are, because obviously I can't tell 100%, but my suspicion does get raised in some discussion posts and even responses to quizzes. So when we think about AI, and I'll talk about which of these are okay and which of them are not okay. Sort of spoiler alert, almost all of these are not acceptable uses in my course. So one of the books I read called Teaching with AI is a very rosy sort of depiction of how we can use AI. So it's a very positive book on incorporating AI into the classroom. But they even say that AI at best produces a C paper. And I'd say that that's pretty accurate with what I've seen. AI misses a lot of things. It's maybe some students have gotten an A with it, maybe in my classes, maybe in other classes, but it really isn't designed to be an A paper. And so most students would get a better grade by doing the reading, watching the video lectures, and so on. So why might students use it? So and I've had conversations with students about this. Justifications from students: it's easier, it saves time, it's better than maybe the student could write in the future or could have written on their own, and it'll be used in the future, which I think is true. And I've had this conversation with other instructors, those of us that are old enough to remember when the internet really, really started getting popular. The statement a lot of people were kind of throwing around was, it's going to make us smarter, it's going to make us more efficient, etc. I think that the potential is there. I just don't think that we are using it as effectively as we can. Now, the downsides from my perspective as an instructor is that when we use AI, especially for idea generation, whether that's writing something or coming up with an outline, we're losing an opportunity to strengthen our critical thinking skills, which is one of the number one 21st century skills that employers are looking for. So it's something that we do want to practice. Decreased communication skills, because we're not exercising our ability to communicate. Also a 21st century skill. And then a lack of comprehension and long-term absorption of knowledge. So imagine you're taking a biology class and you needed to explain mitosis and meiosis, and you used AI to explain it. AI knows what mitosis and meiosis are, but you may not fully internalize those. Now, one of the other things I've heard students sort of say is it's like using a calculator. And I've come to call this the calculator defense. And I've even heard this come up in discussions with colleagues. Isn't using AI or ChatGPT like using a calculator? I don't think it is. I think a calculator requires knowing what to type in and being able to understand how an equation works, whether that's finding the inverse sine of an angle. Unless you know what that is, even if you have a calculator, you don't necessarily know what to put in. Right? ChatGPT does not require you to know how to write a paragraph or conduct research or write a sentence. And more recently, what I've thought about as my older daughter is going through, fourth grade math, is we don't allow young people to use calculators for math until they can master that basic skill, right? Until they can do multiplication. Now, later on, most of us as adults are not going to multiply a 4-digit number by a 4-digit number with pen and paper. We're going to use a calculator, right? So an additional thought here, or my policy, is that I view AI or ChatGPT as a form of plagiarism, with the knowledge that AI is all around us and is something that most of you will be using in the future. But having a foundation and the proper skills, I think, is absolutely essential. So again, I mentioned this earlier, AI is not inherently bad. There are some positive ways that we can use AI. However, I think that that's a whole other deeper, more complex discussion. And for a foundational composition course like this, it's important that you learn the basics before you use the technology. Okay. So, and I'm happy to debate this, discuss this, whatever you want to do. I think that there are some use cases. I just don't think that it's necessary for this class, and that it becomes a hindrance, prevents you from reaching your full potential. So the AI policy in English 102, AI is permitted only for checking grammar and spelling. A full list of possible uses and whether or not they're accepted is in the syllabus and is part of the syllabus quiz. Again, there's a lot of reason for this. There's a lot of thought that I put into this. If you are using something like Grammarly to check for your grammar and spelling, that is fine, but do not use the AI generation tool or help me make this sound better. Just use it for, hey, did I put a comma in the right place? Did I spell a word wrong? And you learn from that because it's a tool that you can actually learn from. Now, AI statements. So this is in the syllabus. For every writing assignment that you're doing, at the end of your essay or writing assignment, you're going to include an AI statement. You must include it for full points. The expectation is that you're not using AI for discussion boards or quiz answers, so you don't have to include it there. So what is an AI statement? At the end of the paper, you're going to include a short AI statement. And it's going to explain whether you used any form of AI, why you used AI, and how you used it. So if we look at some examples. So let's say you did not use any AI, not even Grammarly. Everything is 100% your work. You could say at the end of that assignment, I did not use any AI, including Grammarly, in the creation of this assignment. That means at no point in that essay or that writing assignment did you use any form of AI. The second one here is permitted, right? I use Grammarly to check grammar and spelling because I'm not confident in my ability to check for grammatical and mechanical errors. That is totally fine. You would still need to put that in the end of your paper. Now, if you're using AI for revision, that's permitted with conditions. What I mean by that is I want to know why and how you used it. And I'd really prefer that you include the prompt that you have in there. So I asked the example here, I asked ChatGPT to help me revise my work because I was stuck. I asked AI to provide me with recommendations for how I can make my essay stronger. That is an okay use. I would say you probably get more bang from your buck or for your buck by going to the Writing Learning Studio, coming into office hours. Now, AI use for outlining or planning is not permitted. However, if you did, I do want to know, I want you to be transparent about that so that I know how you're using it and we can have a discussion about those things. So you might say I used AI to create an outline for this essay and I asked it to create an outline. AI use for writing is not permitted. I think this is the one that most instructors are worried about. So asking AI to draft a copy of your essay is not permitted. If you did, I still want you to include that at the end. You're going to be better off in the long run if you're transparent about it, upfront with it. Number 3, also not permitted. So AI for thesis statements or topic sentences. And then, oh, come on, computer. Is that it? Is that my last one? Yes. Okay. So those are all of them. There is a little bit more explanation in the syllabus, and I would encourage you to go take a look at that. Just know a couple things. Number 1, AI is an interesting tool. It has a lot of potential. However, we have to learn how to do things on our own before we rely on AI. What else? Number 3, AI is not permitted in this course unless you're using it for strictly grammar, punctuation, mechanics, spelling. And the last one is at the end of every writing assignment. So if it's an essay, the MLA exercise, a reflection letter, any of those things, you need to include some AI statement at the bottom that reflects whether you used AI, yes or no, why you used it, your rationale for using it, and how you used it. And, again, AI is tricky. Would I rely just on an AI detection software? No. But I think at this point, this being my 9th year of teaching, I have a pretty good sense of what student writing usually looks like. And I've spent a lot of time playing around with ChatGPT and doing my research to understand how it works and what the writing looks like. I will say in with all of that, and I'll end that video on this note, I have taken almost every single prompt and put it through AI and generated a response with AI to see what it would come up with. And I've also tried to change the prompts so that there's less temptation to use AI. The downside of that for a student that wants to use AI is I think it'll be a little bit more obvious to me if you are using AI. So there you go. If you want to know what the repercussions or what the steps are, if you did use AI in one of the non-permitted ways, send me an email, look at the syllabus. I'm always happy to talk about these things. I'm not the type of professor that's like, we should never use AI. Although I am a professor that says we should really not be using AI in a foundational composition course where we're building our critical thinking skills and our communication skills. So there you go. Soapbox moment over. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, jokes, memes, or recipes, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll talk to you all later. Oop.